Well, the last day of the Indian T20 League was like the climax of a big blockbuster movie. Eventually, it was KKR who made it to the playoffs, and we made it here as well. Once again, one final time this season with T20 Crazy on SportsAdda, powered by SportsBet.io. 56 games gone, 4 left to go. The 4 big playoffs, the qualifier, the eliminator, another qualifier, and then the big final on the 15th. But we're back with Brett Lee. Brett, do you remember the 4 teams you picked as your playoff teams when we asked you that question a few days ago?
I picked a few. So I reckon I got a few right. I reckon I was on mark with a few. But why don't you enlighten me with my 4 that I picked a number of days ago?
The T20 Crazy court needs evidence. Here's a video for you to check. Take it up.
Okay.
Give me your picks for the 4 playoffs teams, or should I say Mumbai +3?
You could say Mumbai +3. I'm actually going to go. We'll start with Mumbai. So Mumbai is locked in my top 4, in my opinion. I think in Mumbai, I think it'll be Delhi. Now I'm torn between Sunrisers Hyderabad, Kolkata Knight Riders, and Kings 11 Punjab. So I'm going to put Kings 11 with their new 2 Australian fast bowlers who are absolute jets. I'm going to put Kings 11 up in the top 4 along with Hyderabad. So Mumbai, Delhi, Hyderabad, and Kings 11. So Pretty Zinta will be happy with that.
Did I just say Mumbai +3? How cocky was that? Binga, you got it wrong as well. It just shows how crazy this league can be.
See, I reckon you lured me into a false sense of security there, mate. I reckon you almost fed me Mumbai. Look, I reckon a lot of the nation were hoping for Mumbai, to be honest. But look, it's a big shock. You think about Mumbai, have almost been there every single time. They've been in the top 4, quality players, quality side, a wonderful franchise, but it wasn't to be. Sunrisers Hyderabad were disappointed, to say the least. And obviously, yeah, Punjab couldn't get through as well. But look, I think it's a strong top 4. I think the top 4 that got through played the best throughout this T20 League.
Last year's finalists, Delhi could have another shot. They are up there in the top 2 as well. Now, is this the year for Delhi? Look, the youngsters are coming good. The overseas players have contributed very well. Nokia has been terrific. Kagiso Rabada is not among the wickets. Will that worry them? Is that the only chink in the armor?
No, because normally when you come to the finals and you come to the playoffs and looking to get into the finals, I guess, for what a better word to use, that's when you need those big players to stand up. You know, the match winners are not necessarily the big household names. These are match winners. Like the guys on screen now, you think of Nokia, you know, Rabada, guys that can bowl 145 Ks plus. They're the big dogs. Avesh Khan, I think, has been a wonderful find for Delhi. I think he's probably been almost the pick of the bowlers, to be perfectly honest, because there's been so much spoken about, you know, the 2, I guess, overseas players in Rabada and Nokia, but it's Avesh Khan. I probably think it's probably bowled the best.
Right, and one of the best teams in the history of the league, Chennai, now have another shot at redemption. Remember, they had a hapless last season, but then one young man who's come good, especially in the second installment of this season, Ruturaj Gaikwad. If you look at his innings against Rajasthan Royals, it had 2 stories. At the start, he was 50 of 43, and then he accelerated to get 51 in his next 17 to score his maiden league 100. There was some batting from that young man. Is he the spark that's really lit up Chennai's time in this league this time?
Well, definitely. And he's probably been one of my favourite players throughout this T20 tournament. It's been really good to see him come on. You know, he's got a wonderful, I guess, understanding of the match. He knows when he goes through the gears. I've mentioned that term before a few times, going through the gears, but he's one player that can definitely go through the gears. So he knows how to start off slowly in first gear and second gear and take his time. But then when he wants to go to 4th and 5th gear, he can up the ante. Players like that will go on to get big hundreds. Players like that will go on to represent India for a long period of time. So he's been outstanding for CSK. And, you know, I guess, you know, the thing about Chennai, when we speak about the dad's army, you know, the older players, they've come good this year. They've come really good, and they will give it another red-hot crack. They know how to win. They've got the experience, the most experienced team in this top 4.
But batting first, they've had trouble scoring enough runs. They need more from Raina and Duplessis and, of course, MSD to hit that top gear. Is that batting first problem a worry for Chennai fans?
Well, that's what they like to do. The one thing I love about MSD is that he generally wants to have the team locked by half of the season, and then the other half they play with that confidence. So, they will be going in with a very similar team, I think, unless the wicket is conducive to something different that they haven't seen before, which probably won't happen in UAE. So it's when the big guys stand up, like your Rhinos, those types of players, MSDs, they need more from him. So that's when the experience comes through, when other teams will buckle and crumble under the pressure and the expectation to win this T20 championship. The big players that have been around before, they will come good.
Well, the first eliminator, we'll see Bangalore in action against the Kolkata Knight Riders. Just about made it, that photo finish. Thankfully, Jason Roy did the job for SRH, and that meant KKR made it. But for Bangalore, is AB de Villiers a worry? Because Maxwell has been consistently brilliant for that team. Devdutt Padikkal has been doing well as well. But is AB and his form a cause of concern, or do you think come the big game, the big man will come up with the goods?
Well, let's focus firstly on ABD. He once again is a quality player, world class player. He knows when to shine. He doesn't take the beautiful car out of the garage too often these days, but when he does, he makes sure he goes for a decent drive. And what I mean by that is he will wait for the big games to score his big runs. Maxi has been outstanding. So with the firing of Maxi coming in, I think the change of franchise too has really helped Glenn Maxwell. And I want to give a lot of credit to Captain Kohli. I think Virat Kohli's been outstanding for Glenn Maxwell. I thought he's helped him a lot just in terms of probably off the pitch, just to get that right frame of mind. So he's been a wonderful captain, a great ally, and he's played in some wonderful cricket now. Kohli himself wants more runs. He needs more runs, and I expect him to get more runs because superstars, they like to stand up. They love the bright lights. They love the expectation. They love the big crowds. They will get that. And Kohli, ABD, and Maxwell, in my opinion, will definitely step up.
How much do they love the Kolkata Knight Riders? That's the team up against them in that eliminator. Now, KKR has gone from strength to strength in this leg of the season. We've got Iyer, Gil Tripathi coming up with the goods. The bowling has done all right as well, but Captain Morgan, Andre Russell, and Dinesh Karthik have not put on a show yet. Would you worry?
I'm not worried because what we said before too, that experience definitely counts. Captain Morgan, he said a few nights ago at the toss, I think a journalist asked him, or one of the commentators said, what's your thoughts on your own personal form? And he wasn't, phased. He said, look, I'm probably not scoring the most amount of runs I could. However, I know that I can get the job done. So they rely on a team. McCullum there, as you can see and you can read, they are winning games without their big dogs. Russell's not firing the way he'd like to, even though he's got a fifer. You think about DK, who's a quality player, great finisher. He'll look to come good through these finals. But you got to make sure if you don't finish at number one position, you don't get a second by the cherry. So these teams now, it comes down, three of them, it comes down to one game. You got to have a crack. You got to make sure that you win. And this is a time when the most experienced campaigners have to step up, and you've got to play that complete game of cricket. So on one side, it's that fearless cricket, but on the other side, it's being relaxed and also somehow enjoying the moment, because that's what sport's all about. You want to enjoy the moment, enjoy your teammates, and you enjoy a lot more, trust me, when you're winning.
And we've enjoyed this edition of the IPL a lot more, especially the end, because of KKR and their surge, and that's added a lot of spice and masala to the league, and we shall do the same as well on T20 Crazy with this next segment. It's called Masala Mix. Well, we touched upon Morgan and his lack of form a little while ago, but that man from KKR has been getting a lot of support from outside the team. Brett, you've played in this league. You've also been one of the leaders, one of the senior players in your IPL sides. Give us a sense of the dynamics of captaining an IPL side, especially when the captain is not scoring runs. What's the dynamic like? How much does it change the mood of the camp?
Well, look, it's really tough because you want every single player to be contributing, and definitely the captain, because the captain at the end of the day is the one that steers the ship. Captain's meant to be the person that leads from the front. You see the ABD, he's spot on. Class is permanent. It's when you've got a guy who has been around a long, long time, has captained England, has played a lot of IPL matches, he knows what to do. So I'm not concerned about Captain Morgan's form. I think he's as important as a leader. And the guys love him. From my time playing alongside him as a teammate for Kolkata, with the backing of the coach, with the backing of the players, you need the team to buy in. They've all bought in. They think he's a wonderful captain. He's got a great group of people around him. And the other thing too, it's hard for a foreigner to be a captain of a generally, a heavily packed local Indian side. So there's that sort of buy-in that you need from the local players, and they've definitely done that. But the great thing that Morgan does is that he's not afraid to ask for advice around him. So even though he's got captain next to his name, there's a lot of vice captains in the team that can also help out.
There is another such captain whose team hasn't made it to the playoffs, but he's scored a ton of runs. Now, in the last 4 seasons, this man has scored at least 580 runs, I think an average of 620, 630. The name is KL Rahul. We saw how freely he batted in that last game. When he has that kind of gear, why would he be so cautious, KL Rahul from Punjab?
Well, he's probably the type of person he is. He's such a lovely guy. He's very well-mannered, very, quietly spoken. But when he gets out in the cricket field, he's a different player. He's absolute. He just takes the bowler on. So I haven't been surprised he's on top of the list again with most runs. I haven't been surprised the form he's been in because he's a quality player. And there's been a little bit spoken. It wasn't this year, but it was probably the sort of 2020 T20 version where, a few commentators and a few journalists were saying there's a little bit slow to start, but he knows how to build an innings. So you got one guy that can potentially, bat right through, and he's done it again this year. So he just gets better and better with age, and he's definitely got to look out for.
Slightly slow to start is Brett Lee as well with his predictions. He got 1 out of 5 in the first week of this show. Remember when the IPL started again? But let's find out what he did last week in BINGA'S notebook. Binga, 3 out of 5 again. Not too bad, eh? Not too bad.
Is that a pass? It is in my. If I went to school, 3 out of 5 is a pass. I want more than a pass, though. So I want to make sure that this week I can dominate. Look, I was okay at the top. I went a tick for the first one. I missed out with Rajasthan versus Chennai. I thought that Chennai would definitely beat Rajasthan. I went okay with ABD to score a 50. Shreyas, the other I should say, has let me down. Not the top scorer. And then the team with the most sixes, I got that correct. So 3 out of 5, missed a couple. Maybe I can be a bit better this week.
Yes, of course. There are 4 big matches coming up. It's the final 4. It's the last lap. It's the championship lap. And 4 teams vying for that big trophy. Let's take a look at these fixtures. The first qualifier, of course, between the top 2, Delhi, Chennai. Then we go to the eliminator between Bangalore and Kolkata, followed by the second qualifier and the final. Who do you think the eventual winner will be of these 4 teams?
Wow, that's throwing me. That's a big question. My head's saying Delhi, but my heart's saying Bangalore. I don't know. I'm thinking Bangalore. I think Kolkata, even though that I'm a former franchise player for them, and I love them to death. It's a wonderful franchise. I think Delhi with their bowling attack, I believe that they'll probably win because of what I said, that bowling attack and that fearsome, aggression up front with that new ball. But there's something about Bangalore that this year they've made it to, the playoffs. Kohli hasn't produced the runs that he wanted to. They've still got their ABD hasn't produced the runs they wanted to. They've still got them there somehow. If these guys explode, look out. I think that Bangalore could win this.
And so, breaking news, Binga reckons the IPL will have a new champion this time. Delhi haven't won in the past. Bangalore haven't either. So who knows? We might see one of those magic moments either for Rishabh Pant, the young captain, or Virat Kohli, who of course is going to not be captain anymore at the end of this league of the IPL. Now, time for some specific predictions. The first qualifier, a red-hot Delhi will take on a side that will be hurting from a string of losses in Chennai. Remember, Delhi have beaten Chennai twice in this season. Brett, we'd like 2 predictions from you for this game. 1, the best bowler will be from which side? And 2, which team will hit the most number of sixes?
Well, I think I'm going to go Team Blue. I think they will knock Chennai out. So for me, it'll be beat them in the first game anyway. So to me, it's Delhi and Avesh Khan. I think will be the top bowler. I think that he will be the guy to pick up the wickets, and the most sixes will definitely be for Delhi.
On to the eliminator now. A very confident Kolkata will lock horns with Virat Kohli's Bangalore, who finally have a chance to end their drought of titles. Two predictions here as well, Binga. Who will be the top scorer for Kolkata? And will Glenn Maxwell score a 50?
I'll start with Maxwell. Maxwell will score a 50. He's been in red hot form. And he's red hot form because he's playing for the team in red. And Captain Morgan will be the top run scorer, in my opinion. So good guys, when needed, step up to the plate. Morgan needs some runs.
Well done, Binga. Do you want to take a look at your predictions once again? Maybe tweak a
Let's have a look. Let's have a look. There we have it. There's my predictions for this week. Binga's pick all comes down the 15th of October. The tournament winner, who will it be? I'm going to go Delhi.
Binga has picked the Delhi Capitals to become the champions of the IPL 2021. But we've got.
Can I say one thing? Can I butt in to say? Can I say Bangalore? Can I have?
Well, Virat is from Delhi, so well,
yes,
shouldn't be a problem.
No,
right?
look, as I said, my heart's going Bangalore, but my mind and my brain's going. You've got to go with Delhi. So Delhi it is.
That could trend on Twitter. Binga picks Bangalore. Always keeps everybody happy. Such a nice guy you are. But we've got more questions for you in this next segment we call Batao Brett. The one team that hasn't really gotten going is the Rajasthan side. Of course, few big players were missing. What do you think the issue has been for them? Yes, there were key players missing, but the replacements weren't too bad. And what do you think they should do when they go for the auction? Who do they should they build their side around for the next season?
Well, I think when you talk about Rajasthan, they have been, obviously Hyderabad have been horrendous this year, but Rajasthan, they really haven't, gotten any form, really, have they? You think about the guys that have been on show. Sanju Samson, though, has been a really, really good player. Josh Butler has been also a guy that's shone. But you think about the absent guys that haven't been there, the players that they've missed out. I think it comes down to they've almost had a team. They've picked a team on all match winners. Now, we know that the team that generally goes on to win the T20 championships are generally the local players are the ones that get them through, the young Indian superstars of the future. They've got the big names, of course, the big overseas players that chip in and do their part when needed. But on a wholesome sort of level, what they do is that it's the young local Indian players that generally win. So I think Rajasthan sometimes rely too heavily on their overseas players, and it's almost come back to bite them this year.
Well, let's dial back and go back to that day in 2011, the World Cup quarterfinal in Ahmedabad between India and Australia. The world knows who won that game.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Of course we do. I've got a specific question for you. Okay. There was just one maiden over in the entire game, and you bowled it. Do you know who you dismissed in that over? And what are your memories of that game? The build-up, the drama, the excitement, the crowd, and then the reaction at the end of the game.
Now, look, what I remember about that game is that it was so loud, the noise. There was no social distancing back then. Just the absolute agony that we were feeling after we lost. We thought we should have won that game, actually. We got ourselves into a pretty good position. And I don't know, it was Yuvraj Singh that sort of just took the game away from us. I remember getting a cut above my eye, fielding a ball on the fence. India, on that occasion, were just too good. They played some really, really good cricket. We had our chances. We missed our chances. So it wasn't as though that we're saying that we lost the game and India went on to win the game or we didn't give it that red-hot crack. We tried our best, but on that particular day, we weren't good enough. Simple as that. India were way too good, and they had some players step up.
And the maiden over in the wicket, who did he get rid of?
Can't remember. Honestly, I cannot remember. It was like a blur. All I can remember is sitting in the dressing room afterwards thinking that, how have we missed out? How have we lost this opportunity to sort of go on to lift up that World Cup? So, yeah, it's sort of funny. You can remember different wickets and you can remember different situations, but one of those things that was a blur that night because of, I think we're under pressure right from ball one.
It was MS Dhoni caught Clark at point, bowled Brett Lee. Scored 7 of 8, got out, and then in came Suresh Raina and finished the job with Yuvraj Singh.
The old filthy drag down, probably that he cut the point. I'll take it. Thank you very much.
Right. Now, is this true, Brett, that you were once a part of an animated series called Flash Force?
Yeah, no.
No?
Not true.
Well, a lot of people think you're a superhero, which you are, and maybe you should
Really?
be a part of the next
I need
franchise,
like a cape.
the Avengers. How about the Aussie Avengers? Bingo, good
Aussie
feature on
Avengers,
that.
yeah, we can do that. I think there'll be a few Aussie Avengers. I think one guy that could be an Aussie Avenger would be Marcus Stoinis. He's got the right sort of body frame to be a big, tough Avenger, I think.
I'm getting emotional now, Bingo. I'm now about to lead into what is going to be our last and final segment of our last and final show this season. With a heavy heart, it's called the Endgame. This is where Binga asks you guys questions, and if you answer them correctly, we pick one winner, and that person gets what? Binga, what do they get?
So they win some signed merchandise, and of course, so let's have a look at last week's question. And the question is, who was the first wicket in my hat-trick against Bangladesh in the 27 T20 World Cup? Of course, there was Shakib Al Hussain, and the winner, Sabra Nay. So well done. It was answered on YouTube. So tonight we'll go on to win some merchandise, and well done.
Yep. Well done, Surbi, on that one. But the rest of you have another shot at it. I believe Binga's come up with a relatively easy question on our final episode. What's it, Bing?
Yeah, it's an easy one to finish up with. So the question I have is, who did I replace to play in the 2012 Indian T20 League final against Chennai?
That should be an easy one. Quickly look up scorecards and make sure you follow us on our social media handles. Look up SportsAdda on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And for all the good feedback for the show, you can, of course, tag me and Binga as well. Thank you so much for being with us all through the last 1 month from back home, Sydney. Binga, hope you're well and hope your family's all right as well. And maybe see you soon in person. India loves you. I know you love India as well. And it's been a great ride, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much. Love to everyone, and please stay safe.
Go Delhi.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.